morning. Welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm extra excited today. We all are. Because we got friends in town. This is our new friend. You know, so much has happened during since the time March 2020 that a lot of people just now call COVID, you know. A lot of things have happened, so many bad things, so many losses, so many reasons to just, you know, despair and cry. And on the other hand, there have been so many blessings that would have never happened had it not been for that terribly difficult season. One of those blessings for me was I got to meet several folks online that I never knew before, and one of them was our friend now, Chloe Rice. And as fate would have it, Chloe is here in town with her husband, Landon, who's standing right over there.
Jerry, you gotta show the snort.
Callan, you might as well walk on over here, buddy. Right here in our kitchen. That's Callan. That's Landon. And that little guy is, what's his name? Clarkson. I was teasing, I know his name. Clarkson. So happy they're with us. And Chloe is here to do a little bit of recording, and they're actually getting ready. As soon as we can get this song done, they're going to drive all the way to Corpus Christi. No, what is it? Corpus Christi.
All the way to Illinois.
They're driving to Illinois. And so they got a long way to go. And Clarkson is not particularly happy about thinking about that drive. But here we are, and we're going to sing a little song. You've heard this one before, but you've never heard Chloe sing it. And it has a whole different flavor that I just love. So thank you. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for singing with us. Thank you, Landon and boys, for being so patient to put up with us doing this. We hope you love it. Sing that together. Healer, heal my heart.
Healer, heal my heart and help me learn to love. Learn to love.
Help.
Learn to love. Healer, heal my heart and help me learn to love. Love the way you love.
I love the way you love.
I love the way you love. I love the way you love. I
Thank you for that. Hey, and we love you. Thanks for tuning in today. God bless you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, all of my family, my friends, the church, Grace Place, all my friends around the country, around the world. You've been on my mind for, well, over an hour, and I thought I'd talk to you today. I'm sitting in the prayer chair. I got back last night from a wonderful trip to Canada with 7 friends, and I woke up early thinking about where I've come from, what I'm doing, what God has called me to do. I have this drive, I don't know what else to call it, to know the truth, to find the truth, foundational truth. I would call it an apostolic unction. The apostles were the foundation. I have this foundational desire and kind of a fearlessness of what tradition or what ideas might be built on the rock solid foundation of Jesus Christ. Traditions and ideas that have led us away from God, away from the attitude and spirit that Jesus told us to have. And I'm thinking about Sunday mornings, a traditional Sunday morning for me for, 45 years was to go to church. And the Lord spoke to me in October of 2019, and the word came to me every day: distant. And finally I told Terry, something's up. I feel like the Lord is calling me to distance, to be distant. I told my friend Jack Kinney, I told my brother Mark, I said, to help me. And Terry got concerned and said, do you think that means we're going to move away from St. Paul in our church? I said, no, I don't think so. I just know that there's something about distance. And then in late February, early March of 2020, as you know, when COVID-19 hit the world, the first idea for safety was social distancing. And when they said that on television, the first time I heard it, I jumped up out of my chair. I thought, oh my God, I didn't know if I heard something from the Lord. Was it prophetic? But I wasn't afraid to obey and be distant. I sit in this prayer chair every day. I missed it a lot when I'm gone. I have my cup of coffee here, and I didn't get up and get all dressed up this morning. Well, my excuse is from Isaiah 53, he had no form or beauty, comeliness. The old King James says there was no beauty in him that we should desire him. So you got to take this drab olive green t-shirt and this hunting ball cap today. But I would go to church so excited. I don't know a preacher, I do not know another pastor that enjoyed the time in the building that we call church, or having church, the time that we participate together, we call that church, any more than me. Many of you that were there, hundreds of you, when I'd go through that side door to find my seat there on the front row, I was so excited. The music would begin. Nate Saban, my dear friend and incredible musician, talented man of God, minister, they'd begin to play and sing, and I'd be on my feet. I couldn't sit down. I never did want to sit on the platform. As a matter of fact, when I moved here, there were 8 men that sat in the 8 chairs on the platform, and I told them all to stay. I wanted to sit on the front row. I didn't want to be looked at. I didn't want to think about what other people were observing, watching me. Neither did I want to watch anybody else, like so many preachers and pastors that I knew that would sit and observe how people were responding and instead of responding themselves. And I never liked that whole idea. And I would worship and dance, sometimes just throw my hands in the air and worship loud, and interrupt because the songs would touch my heart and the thoughts. I wasn't there just to sing, and there was no entertainment in my mind. But now, because of COVID, our building was not conducive to church. We had no forced air. It was all heating and air conditioning from a boiler system, and that we were warned, not to have church, to be safe and careful for people, and I did that. Was not afraid of COVID. I've had COVID twice. Didn't kill me, but it did kill some of my dear friends. But I wasn't, and am not having church, quote unquote, because of fear of COVID. The Lord spoke to me distance, and I knew that this was right. And when I found out that people, nations all over the world, churches everywhere, were being shut down, I thought, God, you're trying to do something here. A worldwide pandemic. God's not ever out of control. He's always doing everything he does. Everything God does is on purpose. He never tries to do anything. He did something. And I thought, we're missing God to crave going to church and be in a building rather than be in his presence. People don't know how to be in his presence in their houses, I guess. I've had the most incredible experiences in this prayer chair, hearing from God, speaking to God, understanding from the Spirit. And I realize the criticism that, the proper and right criticism that cult leaders have gotten, and the fear that has come from men who say that they've heard from God. I've heard people on television and reporters and people criticize these men that say they've heard from God and then lead people astray. I get that. But I also am aware that Jesus said, I'm going to send the Spirit and the Holy Spirit, the Comforter, the Paraclete, and he will teach you all things, that we're to be taught, led by the Spirit. As many as are led by the Spirit of God, they are the sons of God in Romans chapter 8. That we need to be led by the Spirit of God. And so I want to be. And I want to tell you part of my experience when I recognized that God was bigger than our denomination. I was in the United Pentecostal Church. And I visited a Catholic church in 1976 in Philadelphia. It was one of the original churches where the charismatic movement began in the Catholic Church. And I recognized this presence of God. The Spirit of God was in that place. Those people were worshiping in a way I'd never seen before. Deep, beautiful, powerful. And I realized that God was bigger than what I'd been taught. And then when I recognized that some of the teaching, some of the traditions that I'd been taught came from men who formed doctrines out of opposition, out of war, to make an argument, to debate about salvation, I realized I probably should find out for myself. And I have focused for 2.5 years now on every Sunday morning, 2.5 years, every Sunday, on this theme, Jesus unfiltered. Not Pentecost, not the end of time, the coming of the Lord, not on faith, not on healing, not on money, but on Jesus. And I wanted to record this today and say, there's a great worldwide move of God, and it's happening among people who do not go to church. A great revelation of a personal relationship with God. People say, well, I'm spiritual, just not very religious. I didn't like that 30 years ago. Now I love it. I realize that God has been distancing people from false doctrine, oppression, religious bigotry and hatred that kills the bearer of that thought, those thoughts, those doctrines. How people have been critical of me. I'm just trying to follow Jesus. And because I don't see in the scripture or in the spirit the need for an attitude of exclusivity and separation over a part of a verse, the simplest things, the way people view God. Are there three? Are there three persons? Are there three manifestations? Are there one? It was such a big war. I didn't realize it, but about 120 years ago, that idea was bannered about, that became a divisive idea of how people viewed God. I don't know, and you don't know, and nobody knows. God. Nobody really knows. The best we can do is see the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. I believe in Him. I know there is a God. I was thinking this morning, I don't know what Moses saw when God went by on the mountain, the hinder parts of God. I don't know if there was a singularity, if there was a actual flowing robe of God. I don't know if it was a trio who walked by and he saw the back. I don't know. But people fought over it, divided over it, wouldn't have fellowship, wouldn't be a part of one another, couldn't go to church with one another. And now there are denominations by the hundreds, and I can't tell you how important it is for me to say to you today, this morning, on the anniversary of 9/11 in America, that other nations can't imagine the emotions that stirs up. But I just want to tell you, I love you. I'm trying to follow Jesus. I'm not interested in what I look like, obviously. I'm not interested in following the traditions, and I don't get the same sense of satisfaction, though there was satisfaction in church and being together with my friends and being a part of a denomination. I don't get nearly the same peace and satisfaction as I do knowing that I'm following Jesus, listening in the Spirit every day. I sit in this prayer chair. I call it the prayer chair, but prayer doesn't mean the same thing that it used to mean to me. I heard on the way home last night that Betty Roos passed away. Betty Roos, on Wednesday night several years ago, said, I've learned that prayer is much less speaking than it used to be. And she was an elderly woman at the time, in her 80s. She said, it's more listening than talking. And I'm telling you now, I'm trying to listen. And God is speaking. And if you could find a place alone with Jesus and listen, you would not be Pentecostal, Catholic, Lutheran, Baptist. You'd try to be like Jesus, and we would reclaim the word Christian. And I know this is a long, long video today, and I know that I'm not dressed like I should be. I recognize that. I know the sun's coming up behind me, probably screwing up the light, and I'll hear about that because the lighting's not all perfect and all. But I felt so urged to tell you this morning that we are, as a congregation, waiting. Wait. The Spirit of the Lord spoke to me early in the spring and said, wait. We could have had church. We could have had church all through the pandemic. There are people that would have been free not to come, as you are free to come and go now as you please. But no matter how you focus your time, and no matter what happens now or in the near future, please be free to know Jesus for yourself. Please follow Jesus. Be kind. Love one another. Share the love of God, the grace of God, the goodness of God. Not your differences, not your criticism, not your judgmentalism or your bigotry. Just think about how good He's been to you, how gracious He's been to you in your secret life, in your secret past. Think about His forgiveness and His all-inclusive love. And let's do that together.